gateways to the cloud in our brains and have more than 300 billion.
This threat is not new. But technology and the internet increase its frequency and, in some cases, its lethality. Today, a person can consume hateful propaganda, commit themselves to a violent agenda, and learn how to kill without leaving their home.
I see virtual reality as a way not of escaping any notion of empirical reality, but as a way of reportraying invisible levels of the given world that are very vital and important to us.
Once they are persuaded that cyber-conscious beings value their life, that life will be extended.
We go back to alchemy. Alchemy taught that the philosopher's stone was a literal elixir of life. It was kind of a universal vaccine. Well, lo and behold, what they are searching for is quite literally the philosopher's stone.
Now, I'm going to get into the great tree of knowledge, the wisdom that has been denied us by someone who does not want us to have this knowledge. Who this someone is, I don't know. I wish I did. You know, John Lash, the great Nag Hammadi scholar, he says the Nag Hammadi texts, which were found 2,000 years ago in Egypt, or they were buried 2,000 years ago in Egypt and found in 1947. And what's great about the Nag Hammadi is they haven't been tainted by anyone. No pope, no politician, no historian has rewritten anything in there. So we're reading exactly what they wanted us to read 2,000 years ago. Okay? Nobody's got their meat on it. No spin. The Nag Hammadi says that about 1,600 years ago before them, or about 3,600 years ago, the Earth was invaded by something called the Archons, which is close to the Anunnaki. And they don't say they're beings. They describe it more like a virus, an off-planet virus. And these Archons came, and what these Archons are is they do not possess the divine essence that we possess. And they're really jealous of us for that. And so they're creating a world, this is what the Nag Hammadi says, a simulated world all around us. It's all simulated. And what it is trying to show that they can create everything that the God has created, the beautiful earth and the flowers and everything. They can do just as good a job as nature can do, only they do it fake. And the point of the Archons, according to Nag Hammadi, is to make you think that their reality is the reality, not the real reality. So I suspect that's who told us we can't have the fruit of the tree of knowledge. Because once you understand what is going on here, you can free yourself of the Archons. And I believe the Archons are here. And I believe they're everywhere. And I think they are a virus.
Atlantis, Mu, Arcadia, the Holy Grail, Philosopher's Stone. They all share a similar fable, something lost sought to be regained. According to the ancient mystery religions, the Garden of Eden was not a physical location on earth, but quite literally a spiritual dimension synonymous with the heavens above. Moreover, it was believed that the sacred stone responsible for the mysterious qualities to mind and matter also came from this enigmatic point in time and space. In Celtic mythology, a mortal named Arthur of Camelot will one day return at some future time from the Isle of Avalon. Avalon in Welsh means apple, giving rise to the false notion that the fruit from the forbidden tree of knowledge, which God forbade Adam and Eve to eat, was in fact an apple. In Greek mythology, Apollo is known as the god of knowledge and light, wisdom and divination, music and medicine, and even prophecy. In the Hellenistic period, he became known as the Titan, god of the sun. His twin sister Artemis was known as Selene, or the moon goddess. The Book of Acts mentions what the city of Ephesus believed to be the origin of Artemis. Quote, "And when the town clerk had quieted the crowd, he said, 'Men of Ephesus, who is there who does not know that the city of the Ephesians is temple keeper of the great Artemis, and of the sacred stone that fell from the sky?'" The Muslim Abbas stone is yet another creation myth that mentions a sacred stone which fell from heaven to earth. The stone was thought to be a fragment of the first paradise. Islamic author Ibn Abbas states, quote, "Muhammad said, 'Indeed, the Islamic teaching of the origin of Adam say that the paradise in which he lived and was subsequently expelled was not even on the earth.'" According to historian Rundle Clark, the Egyptian creation myth mentions a stone that fell from heaven called the Benben stone. This stone was believed to bring the vital essence of life from what is called the Isle of Fire. In the Egyptian Book of the Dead, believed to have been written by Thoth, the father of alchemy, tells of the place where the life essence of humanity originates, Neter Kurt, which means island or mountain of God. The mysterious regenerative qualities of the stone have also been long associated with the rising phoenix, which has its connections with the ancient city of Phoenicia, otherwise known as Sidon or Tyre. The city of Tyre is mentioned in the book of Isaiah, where the king of Tyre is overlaid with the description of Satan, who had fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning. It is evident that with this brief survey of ancient creation myths, these occult traditions have forever been the common thread between the practices of esoteric spirituality like alchemy, Hermeticism, and Kabbalah, but also of the secret orders such as the Rosicrucians, Freemasons, and even the Illuminati. The late Christian prophecy author David Flynn summarized, quote, "The common thread within most ancient creation stories was the union of the celestial and terrestrial at a particular time of unparalleled upheaval and change. The marriage of heaven and earth gave birth to the worldwide legends of the gods who descended from the heavens."
Well, alchemy is actually one of the most ancient of the secret sciences. Its origins are stretching far back into history. In the terms of the alchemists themselves, alchemy was the transformation and transmutation of metals. But in a broader sense, this transformation takes place on all different levels, not just a physical level, mental and spiritual levels, and not just for metals, but for all creatures. All of creation is going through this process of transformation. One alchemist described alchemy as celestial agriculture. And this is a sense that everything in nature is alive and transforming, going through a process of development. Frater Albertus described alchemy as a process of consciously assisted evolution, where the operator himself is consciously involved in his own evolution.
Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot more than the commonly held belief that it's transmuting base metals into gold. If you look in the dictionary, that's the standard definition for alchemy, turning lead into gold. But there's quite a bit more to it than just that.
And can you go into a little more depth about the origin of alchemy?
The origins of alchemy are lost to history. In most of the scholars will agree that alchemy in the Western tradition began in ancient Egypt, possibly 10, 12,000 years ago. According to ancient legends and stories, even back then, alchemy had a divine origin. There was a race of spiritually ascended people who walked the earth and taught mankind the arts of civilization. And even in ancient times, there were fantastic stories that God taught it to Adam, later to Moses and Abraham. Fallen angels taught it to human women in exchange for sexual favors. And these were in ancient times. In more recent times, it's been proposed that this was a technology that stems from Atlantean technology, that aliens brought it to Earth. But if you follow the thread of history itself, somewhere in ancient Egypt, there was a sacred science. It was called the divine art. And that was the origins of alchemy. And you can actually follow the processes through the various priesthood who is as a secret science, and it was passed along from generation to generation under oaths of secrecy. It was developed as a secret science and very closely guarded secret.
What you guys just witnessed was, first of all, playing in the background is this online documentary, Age of Deceit 2. Spent a lot of time watching videos and YouTube documentaries and things and conspiracy theories and taking in information and seeing how people view the art and the craft. And I was just moving my pendulum with my mind and my will, engaging in, the very basic basis of magic. There's a quote by Aleister Crowley that states, "Magic is the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will." And what I was doing just now was moving my pendulum around with my will to move it to the left or the right, forward and backwards, clockwise and counterclockwise, while listening to this little YouTube documentary. There are various things you could do with the pendulum. I find that in my experience, first of all, let me go back. The most basic use for the pendulum is in Radiesthesia, and using it also to get yes and no questions answered. Radiesthesia, use the pendulum to find something that you're looking for, or someone, or some healers use it to find points on the body that need, attention, healing. They're usually you'll be laying back and it'll go toward a chakra or move a certain way to let you know that that is a point that needs some attention. I primarily used, past tense, used it for yes and no questions. And the way that I used it was I just programmed it. You always want to hold it in your hand of spirit. Your dominant hand is most connected to spirit. Some esoteric schools of thought teach that the right hand is associated with spirit and the left hand is associated with the material. So the way I do it is one way that I use my pendulum is to hold it in my right hand, and I stabilize my arm on my desk. Then I put the pendulum over my left hand, and I program it in circle. Yes, 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 yes. Stop it. And forward back. No, no, no. Then I'll go forward to hold it still. Ask a question. Am I a true alchemist? Am I a true alchemist? Am I a true alchemist? as you can see, it's moving in circular, counterclockwise motions, emphasizing the yes answer. But what I found was that, and this time this actually was a genuine answer, what I found over time was that as my consciousness expanded and my psychic abilities developed, I was able to influence the answer to be received when I first started doing this, and it was actually kind of addictive at first. I would get an answer, and sometimes the answer was too good to be true, so I would try to, say a different answer. So if I got a yes, I would try to say no to make it move to no, and that didn't work. The answer was what it was. But as time went on, and I continued to evolve, I found that I was eventually actually able to influence the answers. So pendulums don't really work for yes or no questions that well for me unless I consciously clear my mind and breathe neutrally. Deep neutral breaths. And that way, and I focus on just my mind being clear and then receiving the answer as it flows through my body and through the pendulum. But I really don't use pendulums for question and answer. I use it to practice moving objects with my mind, with my thoughts, with my will, in accordance with my will. And what you'll find as you further develop your psychic abilities and expand your consciousness is that you will be able to truly influence things in your life, from objects to events. You will be able to have a direct impact on things in your life and be able to influence them and subject, things and events and even people sometimes to your will, and become the true alchemist and the true magician, that, the true sage, the true mage that many of us aspire to be and only few truly become. And that does not mean that you cannot become, but you have to remain aware of where you are in your development. You can't be discouraged. At first I was discouraged that, the yes or no, I started influencing the answer, so boo, can't answer a question anymore because the answer's just going to be whatever I want it to be. But then I just sat here one day and started playing around with it, holding it still, and just moving it with my mind, visualizing in my mind the direction it moved in, and watching it move in that direction, and paying attention to how I felt physically and spiritually when the object moved in accordance with my will and what I wanted it to do. And usually I feel a little tingling on the top of my head in my crown chakra, and the pendulum now serves a different purpose in my life. So although it doesn't work as effectively in one way, it's perfectly working as a tool to lay the foundation for me to practice telekinesis, moving objects with my mind. So check out that little documentary. It's usually something like that. The Age of Deceit is going to talk about how the magicians and the alchemists and the Illuminati and people like me, us who are interested in this video and making manifest, how we are engaging in the age of deceit, and we're going to make this a secular world, and all this stuff, and Christian persecution. And I'm not saying I don't go to church and I don't believe in Jesus Christ and I don't read the Bible, but people got to make their money and they make their documentaries, and everyone has an audience. So if you're sitting at home and you want to start making videos, make a documentary, start a blog, go ahead and do it. There's an audience out there for everybody. And if one way to create your own life is to make manifest, go forth and make manifest. Now, one thing I will throw out there about religion and Christian persecution and all this, the end times and the end days, it really is the end times. Days. We are transitioning into a new age, a new paradigm of being and knowing and existing and making manifest, and learning how to use our pendulums to get answers to important questions, and so on and so forth. But it's about awakening consciousness and developing who we are and in our true divine essence, and truly bringing heaven to earth and merging the two, and understanding that we are of spirit and in a physical body, that our very lives combine the heavenly essence with the material plane. We are the divine alchemical manifestation of the heavenly being and essence and stardust manifest into the physical world. But then if you understand God, that God is all things, and consciousness, and the pendulum, and this little thing of incense, and this camera that I'm talking to you on, and this MacBook that I'm working on, and all is manifest in the spirit, and everything just vibrates at a different frequency and holds a different density of the same general basic elements of spirit. So keep those things in mind. Get yourself a pendulum. Start out small. Program your subconscious. Ooh, it's not gonna break. It's not gonna break. Program your subconscious. Yes or no. Some people use circles. Yes or no, and then they program their subconscious and the pendulum to move. Yes or no, and they hold the pendulum in the middle, and then they ask the question of yes or no. So start off really basic for the usual things. Maybe experiment with Radiesthesia. Maybe you are a healer and you can use the pendulum to find certain points on the body that need attention. So use it for that. If you're someone that is hell bent on looking for treasure, grab a pendulum, program your subconscious to find that treasure for you. But also it's a great tool to just sit here and practice moving things with your mind. So thanks for watching my video. I'll talk to you guys another time. Probably going to talk about the various tarot and cartouche and runes, divination decks and things that I have. I don't know, I'm thinking about how I want to do that. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. Use the pendulum, make manifest. Don't be afraid to be thyself. Visit the website www.thearchitectstudio.com. Mystical art, I specialize in esoteric spirituality, mystical art, transmutation of souls. I myself am a spiritual alchemist, and I'm going to enjoy this documentary and the age of deceit, because the art of suggestion is really ever present in our lives. And honestly, people just say it's deceit, but it's really just people knowing the art of suggestion and how to project a thought into someone else's subconscious and make them believe, well, whatever they want them to believe. So take care, guys. Blessed be.